And now they go looking for a solution. But until they had a problem, they didn't know there was a solution. Setting up the claim is a huge part. If you don't set it up correctly from the beginning, you really are pulling teeth later. Just tell me it's wear and tear or long-term ongoing seepage. I'll sue you and we'll move on.
Vince, let's start with the ownership story. Who owns the business? How did you come up with the name? And what's the story of the business?
So me and my partner, so it's me and my partner Aaron Singer. We started 12 years ago, June of 2009 in Florida. His brother actually came up with the name. And when we first heard it, it was like, it's sort of a stupid name. Like, why?
It's aggressive.
Well, the connotation's aggressive, and like it was like, yeah, but like it sounds very childish, sort of, right? Like, but what he said is that it's rememberable, right? You have a lot of companies, especially in Florida. There's at the time, and we were working for a company called National Loss Consultants. They were, I mean, it sounds like a debt collector, right? And there's a lot of like just sort of, well, in my opinion, now looking back, a lot of sort of standard names, nothing exciting or makes them memorable over the next one. Where, I mean, we have clients who may have forgot my name or Aaron's name 10 years later, be like, hey, I have a buddy of mine needs your help. I didn't know your number, but I looked up, I remember Bulldog, and I looked at Bulldog and just look up Adjuster and you come up. So it's that was really the point of it. It has, you know, aggressive connotations and all that. That's very nice, but it's not really the reason why we did it. It was really to have a memorable name compared to the next, separate us from the rest.
What was your background before you started? Because nobody grows up thinking about themselves like, hey, I'm going to be a public adjuster one day.
Yeah, so I grew up, I really wanted to be a light bulb salesman. No, I'm just kidding. So my dad has been a chef for about 50 years, close to now. My grandmother had a restaurant in Florida, and so I went to culinary school for a little bit. I was going to work under him. Didn't work out because he worked for somebody at the time. My partner was doing this. He had his license. It was very easy to get into. He's like, you should, we were friends. He's like, you should do this. Just take the test. Even if you don't do it, it's very easy. And if it doesn't work out, you can do public adjusting. I was like, nah, whatever. I'm good. I want to do this, right? Great decision that I decided not to do that in the end. So we started 12 years ago, just knocking on doors, doing everything we can. I mean, I'm only 34 now, so I was 21. My partner was 20, I was 21, 22, and he was 21, 22. So we've been at it for 12 years, stopped knocking on doors a while ago, but that's how we started, knocked on doors throughout South Florida. We ate up the last ending of like the Hurricane Wilma claim, stuff like that. And just been building ever since. Majority of our clientele from the last 12 years is B2C. We built a model to handle B2C clients, built marketing to go after B2C clientele, and sort of been a journey since then.
You're 34?
34.
Wow, you look like 33 and a half.
Oh, thanks. Appreciate it. Gained 6 months there.
I would like to compliment your website. Very clean, easy to understand. As a matter of fact, I checked few public adjuster firms in Florida, and there's so many services that people offer. Yours very clean. Like, what's your value proposition to the market, I guess? What are you in business for?
So you can ask a lot of public adjusters, like, what's the difference between you and the next guy, right? And it's really hard. I'm a better adjuster. That's ancillary. It's sort of, it's all opinion of the next person, right? I did a good job in that claim. I didn't do a good job in this claim. There was variables a homeowner doesn't understand. Okay. So it's very, very ancillary. And so we just try to create a nice, clean image, a professional image, try to give clients a feeling of that we can handle their claim. I mean, that's really what we're at. The adjusters know some secret sauce to another adjuster may have. They handle more specifically. Let's just say we're great at fire claims. So if you handle more of them, maybe you're going to know a little bit more, but not that much more, right? I've handled a good amount of fires. I've handled a lot of water damage claims. I've handled a lot. So like over the years, you've built an experience of a lot of claims. So we just try to separate ourselves more as a established business that can handle your file, that has the ability to handle it, not just see you as a number or forget about you, right? We built a process because a single adjuster can only handle so much, right? You can only handle so many claims and still be on top of them and still help the next client, right? And if me and my partner Aaron were the only ones processing and signing, then I'm limited. I've limited myself. I limited the business to growth. So that's why we built out the process, because then I can.
So how many adjusters do you have?
So we have adjusters that work directly for us, that sign claims for us that our marketing gets and brings in. So we have like 4 of those guys. And then I have other adjusters that work on their own and we process for them. So I have another like 12 of those guys. So we do all their processing. They market themselves as their own, but they are able to handle the volume they can handle because of us.
On your website, you name different roles. Tell me what they are doing. You have claim adjusters, you have estimators, you have claim processors. Mm-hmm. So who does settlement negotiation? Like, what's the difference between those three?
Right. So because like I explained, we built out a process. Everything's, step by step by step, right? So there's front end guys who are just doing, filing the claims, getting it scheduled. That's just front end stuff. Then and adjusters are signing it up. They're meeting the homeowner, assessing the losses, scoping the damages, documenting the damages, getting that to the office. Once that's done, office then files it, schedules it. Then claim processors are handling the process from basically inspection all the way to a decision point, right? Decision point, payment, denial, so on and so forth. Once there's a payment or a decision point, our claim manager, Isabel, and her department, she manages the whole claims department, but really the whole settlement side is really then taking the file, looking at it, figuring out, can we get this settled in a phone call? Can I get this settled do I have to build a whole argument, give reasons, so on and so forth? Or, hey, let's just go straight to litigation because they denied it, or let's go straight to appraisal because we think there's a big gap, but we can get an appraisal, and it seems like a faster way of then beating them up on the phone and never getting anywhere. So that's really where the quarterbacking starts, next decision point, and down the path that the system really dictates.
Do you feel like homeowners and public in general are educated about what public adjusters are doing, or we're miles away from that public awareness?
Miles away.
Miles away.
Well, you have, who's our competition? Who doesn't want us to? Exactly. If you took every public adjuster, every roofer's marketing budget, combined it, we don't scratch the toe of one major insurance company's marketing budget.
So is it fair to compare you to, let's say, like lawyers, and they would be the police in case, like, if you get arrested today, and everybody knows, like, you should not be, you have a right to a lawyer. Right. Don't talk to the lawyers. Is it the same here, where if you have a claim, do you have to have public adjuster?
I think so, selfishly, but also just the experience I've seen in claims. I mean, I'm only in business because homeowners are getting screwed every day, right? And I don't think adjusters that I'm really in competition with anyone else. Not that I'm better than them. It's just a matter of, I think there's so much to be gotten, and it's just that people don't know what an adjuster is. What lawyers have over an adjuster is, if I told you I'm a lawyer, I don't need to tell you what I do. I mean, you may ask me what kind of law I'm in, but you understand what I do. I sue people, I sue insurance companies, I sue this, so that. I tell you I'm an adjuster, I'm a public adjuster, you're still most likely clueless as a layman homeowner. What do you do? Right? So it's not like I sell a burger and now I can just tell you my burger's better, or it's all organic, or so on. Here, I got to explain what I do, what my role is, how that works, how much my fee is, where general public understands what a lawyer does, understands usually around how they get paid. Either you pay them hourly or you pay them a percentage. It's a known concept to a homeowner. Where an adjuster, they most likely don't know. Sure. And they're very trusting in that they pay their premium, they get paid. But it doesn't work that way, we know that.
Well, we know that, but they don't because they trust.
Yes.
So we need to keep educating them. I mean, your job exists. I mean, if people would not commit crimes, we would not need police, right? So if insurance companies would not, would pay.
In some ways it is criminal what they do to a lot of homeowners, definitely. But there's no way I don't see anytime soon where a public adjuster is going to be a known thing in the world, and especially in claims. But even if it was, we're still not going to scratch the toe of how much these companies are spending on marketing, on how they handle claims. It's great and wonderful. Like, we're going to have to find people who are very frustrated with their claim process, are trying to get bids from contractors, and they can't find anybody to do it for their price. And now they go looking for a solution. But until they had a problem, they didn't know there was a solution.
Is it a fair comparison to compare public adjusters to ambulance lawyers? Because public adjusters go there after the hurricane, after the major event. So
storm chasing adjusters, I think you can. I've never storm chased.
I see.
I've never fire chased. For a multitude of reasons. One, I'm not getting up at 3 a.m. to be 7 people in line with 2 other restoration companies, all bad mouthing each other. It's not the kind of business I want to do. It's just, and then, storm chasing, I just, again, same thing. If you want to service a client, you're there for, even if you sign one client, but you're not going to make money signing one client. So you're going to sign hundreds. You sign hundreds, and now I'm there for months, physically there, because Pensacola got hit by a hurricane. I had to make a decision. Do I go run up and do business in Pensacola, right? Or do I stay in South Florida and take what people aren't handling? I chose to stay here for a multitude of reasons. One, mostly because I know what it takes to process claims. I understand that I need an adjuster. If it's not me, an adjuster there, which takes time, money, so on, right? And then claims start to dry out, but you still have to service those people. And if you don't have someone there, I'm sending someone there a flight every week just to go meet adjusters, do appraisals, so on and so forth. So you have to make calculated risks and decisions about servicing people, not servicing people. When you're a single proprietor of handling claims, then what's the big deal? That's where business is. It's easily gotten. I make good fees. You go rent an apartment for a year, but that's the majority of the public adjuster world. Most public adjuster, you probably don't know many firms that do public adjusting. You know, a lot of independent adjusters. I mean, even some of the biggest guys that do adjusting in large losses, they have their own sole proprietorship. Maybe they have support staff and everything like that, but they don't have a process or a firm handling thousands of claims.
How long does it take to train adjuster? Like someone brand new?
To do what kind of claims? Daily stuff?
Yeah.
Not a lot.
Not a lot.
Because you have to understand, the process handles it. They're not settling it. They're not negotiating it. They're just there to sign it, meet the adjuster, put together a scope and damages, which we train them to do. So really, they're never arguing with an insurance company too much. And by the time they start to, like mediations, anything like that, they've been doing this already 6 months to a year.
Let's talk about your relationship with the contractors. What service do you offer to the contractors, and how do you work with them?
So the way we work with contractors, the virtual PA, and the concept that we're really pushing out is basically we handle the entire claim process, right? We're trying to revolutionize how the claim process works for the roofing storm restoration industry, right? Usually the way it's been working is that you file the claim with the homeowner, which is up an issue, but we won't get into that. I don't really have an opinion on it. But they file the claim, they meet the adjuster, they point out the damages, they wait whatever time frame, 30, 40 days for the adjuster to make a decision, put together a scope, make an actual ACV payment, and then they take that scope and they say, oh man, I don't have enough money, let me get a supplement company, let me call the insurance company to negotiate, let me fight them, so on and so forth. But you've set yourself up in a losing manner, right? You never told them what you wanted. You never gave them information why they should be paying for it. So what we do is we handle the whole claim process from the kitchen table all the way to payment, right? So we work with an app that handles the whole scoping process, right? So you can have a guy who knows nothing about roofing and it walks them through scoping a roof. If they don't know what a drip edge is, you click a button, it shows you what a picture of a drip edge is. Yes, it has that. Yes, it has eaves. Yes, it has this, so on and so forth. And they walk through that. That then puts the contract right to the homeowner. The homeowner signs with us. We file it. We schedule it with their roof with the sales guy. We schedule it for them.
So you still sign directly with the homeowner.
Correct.
And you pay the contractor.
So we give them basically what's called the direction to pay to add to their contract that allows us to write a dual party check back to homeowner and contractor. So when there is a payment, my name's on it, so I guarantee payment. And then I then reissue a check once the mortgage company's process is handled to homeowner and roofer. So now they don't have a worry about Mrs. Smith taking the $20,000 and going to buy a car and not doing a roof, or using Mr. Johnson to do the roof for $10,000 less, right? We all know that happens. We send our estimate, right? Like we were talking about before, it's about 40 to 60 pages on average with estimate, pictures, your eagle views, your all your codes are in there, and then all your manufacturer specifications. That's all put together. We get that to the field adjuster, because if they do it correctly, in 3 to 5 days, that estimate's created. We all know that inspection is probably happening in 7 to 10. So we get that to the field adjuster and to the desk adjuster. So your reserves are set. If you don't set the reserves within an insurance company with a claim, you're pulling teeth later to get it, right? That tax bracket we talked about, that's their reserves. And if it's set wrong, if they say it's worth $10,000, to ask them for $20,000 later is going to be real hard, because now I got to go through more loopholes. I got to jump through more hoops to change that, take it back, and get over to put it to 20, because they've set it should be around $10,000 when really it should have been set at $20,000. So what happens is you start begging for money late instead of demanding it early. So we get that all to the front, and then once there's a decision point, payment, denial, whatever, but payment usually because we've given them no reason why they should deny it with all the documentation we put together for the claim. It gets into the adjuster, hey, we're still off, we need to negotiate, and we negotiate in that other 30 to 15 days later. So about 45 days around is about average from when we get a file handled in properly to when we get it fully settled.
When contractor needs a PA, like do you need it in every
Always.
claim? Always? Every claim?
I mean, is the client being represented every time? Are they being handled the right way? Are they setting the reserves correctly? Are they spending more time on processing money instead of making more of it?
I mean, if you meet a reasonable adjuster, and I mean, I'm in Minnesota, we don't use PAs, but our average increase is 30-40% per claim. We have supplementer in-house.
Right.
Like, I mean, we went through few appraisals, like, you know, we fight insurance companies. How PA can help us? Like, how PA can help a contractor who never uses PAs?
You've built a process for your claim process, correct?
Pretty much.
So a lot of guys haven't.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
The majority of people haven't.
Sure.
Right? So if you have, I still feel we can get more, and also you can spend more time selling more roofs, knocking on more doors, and not calling insurance companies, chasing them, having your own in-house supplement, so on.
Well, checks are big, mortgage checks.
Right, we handle that whole process. Also, our name is on the check. You're not getting your name on the check, so you know that's a process that doesn't happen for roofers, where we can ensure that you're going to get your loss ratio goes down because you don't have that worry. So there's a multitude of reasons. It's not just one. And then also, you know, I don't know how you drum up business, but a lot of guys are having door knockers, right? So you have a bunch of canvassers, right? They're giving away 10% just for knocking the door and selling it. Okay, so here, but they don't offer any value outside of that. Here they offer you way more value. One, you're giving that canvasser, you can hire way more of them because they can within this app can put together the information they give to us, a 40 to 60 page report. Now the value of that green bean that signs up claims, who really doesn't know anything, he just learned about roofs yesterday.
What's in a report? It's not Xactimate, is it?
It's Xactimate.
So 40, 60 page is Xactimate?
The whole report is 40, 60 pages. Xactimate could be 10 of those pages. Then you have photos, which is like 3 to 4 photos on each page. So you go throughout, depending on how many photos they take. And then you have all your codes, local municipality, state codes. Then you get into manufacturer specifications and so on. And we submit that all to the insurance company early, not late.
So almost every contractor needs to work.
That's my opinion. Everyone has their process, right? If it doesn't, you know, I think that you're doing a disvalue to the homeowner and yourselves by not. You know, you're setting yourselves up for, I don't want to say failure, but to be pulling teeth later.
Sure.
Right? Supplemental companies can only do so much. If an insurance company tells them someone's going to go fly a kite, what do they have? Beg and plead. That's what it is. They don't have teeth. That's just the facts. I have no problem with any supplemental company. I'm just saying that those are the facts. They're not licensed. They're begging for money late. They take the scope of an insurance company.
What can you do? What resources
do
you have?
I've demanded money early. I've sent an estimate of what needs to be done for the job. I'm not taking their scope and fluffing it up a little bit more. Right? I'm not saying I'm taking shingles and they say it's...
But they still can deny you.
Correct. And I can move the claim along faster because we've asked for the right amount in the beginning. Setting up the claim is a huge part. If you don't set it up correctly from the beginning, you really are pulling teeth later. Yes. Right? So if you don't do all that and using the scope of the insurance company, so to take, they're only paying $200 a square, right? And we want $250. So some company takes that estimate, bumps it all up and gets it up to $250, $300 a square to negotiate, right? But insurance company says, no, I'm paying you $200. Well, they go back and say, well, we got you $210, and that's what it is. But because they didn't set themselves up to be in a winning situation from the beginning, right? It's playing defense. Our whole idea here is to play offense over defense, right? Don't come to me and say, insurance companies are all assholes and they don't want to pay me right. Well, it's because you never told them what you wanted. If you don't ask, you don't get.
Let's talk about latest tries or legislation here in Florida. Sure. What insurance companies are trying to do? And there was the story behind. Can you explain? Because it's getting messy. It's getting nasty.
So I don't know. So the newest one is about they want to pay on roofs that are over 10 years old. They want to pay actual cash value only. There's problems with it. There's probably gonna be litigation on it. It's hard to say what the arguments are yet until they're instituted. Like a lot of times these things are instituted, and a lot of times certain insurance companies will take them up. Some insurance companies won't. But like I told you, Florida's a lot of like, hey, bro, negotiations. So you're gonna get into that. So like I'm worried about it because I'm sure it's gonna be an argument. I'm sure there's gonna be litigation about it. And there's some insurance companies that are gonna dig their heels in very hard on it. But a lot of times it's again, you're at 50, I'm at 100. Let's get to a number, right? And that's sort of a lot of times when it's happening. Like
there's more to it. They're trying to pass quite a few laws.
They're always trying to.
Yeah.
I mean, every single year they're trying to pass something that makes it worse, harder and harder and harder on homeowner, roofer, contractor, public adjuster, so on.
They have that much power.
Insurance companies?
Yeah, they have so much
they're
money.
the largest corporations in the nation. So yeah, they have that much power. I think in 2017, 16 or 17, insurance companies had their worst year ever paying claims. Like, I think they had all those fires in California, Colorado, had a lot of hurricanes. Worst year paying claims. They still netted after paying their people, paying out claims, everything like that. As a conglomerate of insurance companies, $32 billion.
Yeah.
So you're telling me after all those losses you threw out and all the claims you paid and everything like that, you still can net $32 billion?
Well, they don't pay much. I feel like I mean, what State Farm collects, I think $65 billion in premiums, and they pay $5 billion. Where does $60 billion go?
So do contractors and public adjusters really stand any chance of fighting them with our pockets? No. So all we have to do is guerrilla warfare, is fight each battle one by one by one. That's all we can do. That's the facts, you know. Sure. Unless we want to start changing things at the polls and start, getting legislators that help them. But no one understands legislators that talk about what they think about insurance. Even then, how do you change a legislator who gets big time money from insurance companies?
Yeah, no, it's a big game. What other trends do you see in insurance restoration market right now, Florida and across the country?
I see a trend of it getting harder and harder and harder. Every state has different reasons and different laws, and that's just going to get the same way we come up with arguments, right? And when they change, we change, and then they see our changes and they make loopholes to make that harder. And then it's a constant battle. It's ebbs and flows, and that's never going to change. That's never going to go away. It almost sometimes it comes full circle and it goes back to, you're like, oh, this is just the same way it was 5 years ago. Why? Because they made one change, they made another, and we got back to where we were. It's just to throw more loops you have to jump through to get to where you need to be. That's just the facts.
We have many different types of contractors. Like you have flat roofers, you have GCs, you have just roofers, you have residentials. What kind of PAs you have in PA market? Do you have guys who just do commercial big losses? I see that's kind of a trend.
In the market? The nationwide market?
Yeah.
Nationwide market.
I see a lot of public adjusters would not do residential claims. They just call them like large loss.
Right, so they call it large loss,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And it could be residential, it could be commercial.
Yeah.
Large loss is because public adjusting, one innate problem that it has is a distribution issue, right? There's 800 public adjusters in the state of Texas. Right after the 2 hailstorms 2 years ago, there was 1 million claims, 800 adjusters. How many people could you really help, right? Florida, there's 2,800 public adjusters, I think, at this moment.
2,800?
I think it's
and 800 in Texas?
Yeah, this is...
Wow.
I'm pretty sure it's 28 or 24. It's a big number.
Sure.
Right? So
Florida is big.
It's big, but their majority of them are all in South Florida. The Tri-County area, I think, holds like 75% of all of them.
I see.
Right? We have 75% of the population as well, so that's maybe why, but also it's a huge market.
But most Florida PAs, they do nationwide coverage too, right?
No.
No?
So majority of PAs in Florida are do daily in volume, right? So they're signing individually, 20, 30 files a month. A lot of the small, so you have, but majority of the nationwide market is large loss guys, right? Because you only have so many claims you can handle, right? Properly. And to handle them properly, you want to make your most money, right? It takes the same amount of time to process and realize, going to the loss, meeting the adjuster, arguing, and so on and so forth, a $50,000 loss, as it is a little bit longer for $1 million loss, right? You still have, maybe you have a couple more inspections and a couple more argument conversations and so on, but you make 100,000 or you make 5,000. It just makes sense that way. So that's why the virtual PA solves that, right? We solve that by taking away the distribution problem by working remotely and working with the contractor to get what a PA can do, but remotely, and not have to have the problem of me meeting the adjuster and so on and so forth. As soon as you do that, it makes it really difficult for any PA to handle the volume, and then having a process to handle it.
How often do you use third parties to settle a claim? Engineers, lawyers, like who else do you use?
Like going to appraisal using a third party?
Yes, appraisal engineers.
So I mean, I don't know to be honest, I don't know the percentage of claims where we don't like settle in house.
What tools do you have? I guess.
I mean, so we'll take it where we think's best route of action, right? If we think like, hey, this can get settled, there's coverage, we think it can get settled in appraisal, then we'll go to appraisal, right? Maybe sometimes we act as our own appraiser if it's something we can get to or is close or so on and so forth. But if it's in the middle of Idaho and I don't have an appraiser, I'm not going out there, so I'll hire an appraiser. We'll orchestrate all that. We'll work on this, so it's really sort of still in-house. We just have a network of appraisers.
What about lawyers?
So in Florida, we use a lot of lawyers. I've sued a lot of people. In depositions, insurance companies ask me how many times I've, how many cases we handle. And I told you our open number is probably somewhere around 1,600 right now. But that's going up constantly because we're constantly bringing on more files. And
how many of those will be in legal actions?
Florida-based, probably 25%. Yeah, because Florida for multiple reasons, a lot of insurance companies have taken out appraisal. A lot of insurance companies, a lot of times it's easy. They in suit doesn't even go to court. It's just basically a number. If there's a big difference and they're not willing to talk to us, just depending on the reasons. Insurance companies, especially after storms, they're so backwards. You can't even answer the phones.
Sure.
So now you're 90 days, no decision. The lady has no roof.
So what do you do in this case?
We sue them because we have a great case. They've waived like most of their rights. If you haven't made a decision in 90 days, like they can be sued for bad faith. They can be, and what I hope happens with suing bad faith specifically in Florida is when discovery, I can ask for every file they have. So now I'm an insurance company, and I say, you're an insurance company, and I come to you and I say, okay, cool. Give me every file that you didn't make a payment after 90 days. You'll pay me a lot of money to not get that list, wouldn't you? Because I can call every single one of them and say, hey, you can sue, class action lawsuit. Oh, okay. And now I call 3,000 clients and I'm suing you for maybe $1 billion. Wow. So they'll pay you to go away.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good strategy.
So I mean, litigation in Florida is definitely prominent. Other states it's not because other states don't have statutory fees. Florida has statutory fees, so it makes it a lot easier for homeowners because they don't have to pay them. Right, they're paying, the insurance company's paying them, so it's a lot easier to go lawsuit here. The results are a lot different. Where in other states, state by state's different. Colorado has some statutory fees language. Texas has some, stipulations to it. So Florida is definitely a litigation hub of insurance claim. I would definitely hear you on that one.
Interesting. The most annoying denial you hear from insurance companies?
Most annoying denial? I had one just now, and they said their engineer told us that the granulars loss was caused by bird poop. The only problem is it's a metal roof, so there are no granulars.
Granules in the metal roofing, coating.
They took a report and basically screwed up, and it's a metal roof, so there's no granulars.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, cool. How is there granulars on the metal roof? What are you talking about? Well, read your own report, ma'am. Most annoying is, but that's not the most annoying. I just wanted to put that out there. Yeah. Most annoying is the ones where you could tell it's just a BS denial, right? They put no effort. It's just anything to get away with it. It happens a lot in Florida. A lot of, it's wear and tear. Or what used to happen in Florida, we had they used to call long-term seepage, right, for a pipe leak. And they would send out an engineer and be like, oh, this has been leaking 7 days. Or 10 days, and it's not supposed to be leaking longer than 2 or a day, whatever. It's like, how does he know how long it's been leaking for? Like, it's just wet. There's no mold. There's no nothing. It's just wet. How does he know after it's been fixed how long it leaked for? It's complete BS. You're just throwing an engineer to give me some BS reason. I mean, I told the insurance company who basically used to do this very often, send out an engineer every single claim. I was like, listen, just don't waste my time. Really, truly, you're going to send an engineer. It's going to take him a month to do his report, a week to schedule, 3 weeks to do his report. Then you're going to sit on it for 2 weeks to give me a decision. Just send me the denial now. Save us all time. Save you $1,500 for the. Just tell me it's wear and tear or long-term ongoing seepage. I'll sue you and we'll move on. And of course, no, I need to send them out. And
So
6 weeks later, I find out.
how do you fight those bad engineers?
You build a reputation for yourself. You build a reputation that you're going to call a spade a spade. You're going to call out bullshit. You know, you build a reputation that you'll get clients to sue. You build a reputation that you'll get what a homeowner deserves for them.
So sad, man. Like this is not right.
It's not right, but
why don't they spend freaking $1,500 towards claim?
Well, I mean, I've had that argument. Like, I'm only asking for $1,500 more. No, we have to go to appraisal. Why? I need $1,500 more. How much is the appraiser going to cost you?
Like, what do they say?
$1,000. Okay, cool. So I'm asking for $500 more than what you're going to pay. Justifying. Yeah, but why has to be paid for less? And if I get him to pay for more, you're going to want to go back to the $1,500 I'm asking for you now? Well, we'll pay what he says. Okay, cool. I'll see you in appraisal. Good luck to you, buddy. I think I'll get way more in appraisal. You're being stupid, and my homeowner wants to get over with. You don't want to? Cool. You know, a lot of times you're dealing with, you're hearing an answer, but you're not hearing the answer from who's giving the answer, right? Every desk adjuster has limits. After it's up to those limits, and even in those limits, they have stipulations. They have to cross their T's, dot their I's, and they have to okay it. Even if they have approval, they have to okay with their manager. An appraisal manager, if it gets to a certain amount, now it goes out of their hands. And now, like, I've had adjusters tell me, like, listen, Vince, I can give you 49.5. It's like, I need 52. If I get you to over 50, it gets out of my hands, and you're not going to get the 50. So I don't mind honesty, right? Like, tell me I don't have the approval or authority to get there, and give me a reason why. Then I can go back to my home and say, listen, here's the facts. You can take 49.5, or I could fight for 52. It may take another month, 2 weeks, a week, whatever, or may not get it at all, right? I may have to fight forever to get to 52, and I leave it up to the homeowner, right? It's not my house. I'm not living with the situation. I'm here to advise, get you the best dollar value for your claim, right? With all the variables involved, though, right? So, you know, it's just, you know, wiser. You ask the question of what's aggravating is when you go to mediation, let's say, right, and they don't have no authority. So they send someone there that has no authority to make an offer. So now they're just wasting everyone's time.
Yeah.
You know,
that's exactly what it is.
And that's one thing I learned in this claim process is that when I get to mediations, I just find out you have authority to settle. You have real authority because I'm looking for around X. If we're talking around X, then we can talk. Otherwise, I don't see why we're all here.
Makes sense. Number one mistake that contractors makes working with the PAs and insurance companies, in your opinion?
Our job is not to take a piece of shit and make it into gold, right? I can't every time. It's just those are, you know, I can't take something that shouldn't be paid. Everyone knows it. You know, it's a very, very iffy up and down case, and I can't make it into a grand slam. It's just not going to happen. Our job is to take.
Contractors a lot of time have those expectations.
No, they think I think contractors. A lot of contractors believe a PA is there for when it gets complicated. Like, why should I use every time? I'll just give you when it gets complicated. Great, but now it's I'm 2 miles down the road and you made 7 wrong turns, and now I'm supposed to be like flick my wrist and it's here's $10 million. It doesn't work like that. You've created a big issue for me. Created a lot of problems. You've you know, your homeowner has told the insurance company it went on for a long time, or, you know, yeah, there was a hailstorm 2 years ago. It may be from that. Like, those are facts that matter, and I can't take things where you've already gone down the road, screwed it up a lot, and I'm just gonna flip my wrist, flip my fingers, and it's all fixed. So that's the issue why using a PA from the beginning, because insurance companies are judging you from the second you call them. Your call's being recorded when you're filing it. That what you say, how you say it to the insurance company gets into the desk adjuster, right? Homeowner calls and you're not with them, let's say, right? And they say, oh yeah, well, I had damage from the hailstorm, but, you know, and they're like, oh, was it from this hailstorm? It may be, but it might have been from that one like 2 years ago also. But I don't really know. So now your homeowner screwed themselves, and they don't even know it. You see, like, they ask leading questions. Yeah, they play people. So if you set it up correctly, claims work. If you set it up wrong, I I can make it better, but I'm not going to take, make it a grand slam, make a home run out of what you've given me. And I'm not here to clean up messes. And that's the issue. I think they think PAs are clean up messes or complicated cases or large loss above their pay grade, let's just call it.
The hardest insurance rejections to fight these days, like something that's very hard to overcome. When they say this, it's just like wall.
I think when you have the hardest thing is not a single objection. I think the issue is when the insurance company is just not listening, right? Like they know you're right, but they can't change what they're saying, right? Because it's not in their hands, right? So you're talking to adjuster A, but adjuster B's moving everything, handling everything, right? So I'm never going to talk to adjuster B. Adjuster B is the puppet master, and puppet A is the person I'm talking to is the puppet. So I'm giving real reasons. I'm giving it, and they're like, puppet is like, oh, sorry, I can't. I don't see it that way. Well, why don't you see it that way? Here's the photos.
Is this what's happening when you get when you are not agreeing with the first adjuster? When they send the first adjuster, you're like, no, we don't agree. Like he denies the claim, you get a second one. Like in my contractor life, it happens so many times. I tell homeowners all the time, don't get a second inspection. Second inspection comes in, sure enough, here's the check, opens the claim. First one wouldn't even open the claim.
Exactly. That's something that happens a lot. Like I told you, there's a lot of variables. Like in a claim, there's homeowner, there's the kind of claim, right? And then there's the field adjuster. You caught him on a bad day. He got yelled at his wife, came to your house. I don't even want to look at your claim. I want to go home. Okay? Then you ask for a reinspection. Adjuster B had a happy time. His wife made him a coffee this morning, made him breakfast. He went on his way. He was like, oh, this lady needs money. Great, I'll write her a check. And there you go. There's no difference in the claim.
So stupid.
It's very stupid.
I've been there. Like
it's just what happens. I'm not telling you it's a fairy tale. This is what happens.
But the thing is, it's hard to explain to the homeowner. Like as a contractor, I tell homeowners all the time, like I'm telling you, you have a damage. If the adjuster tells you don't, call the second one. And it's hard to convince homeowner. A reasonable homeowner will do that. And a lot of times like, oh, Dmitry, you were right. This guy was awesome. First one was a dick. But how do you explain to the homeowner?
Well, as a PA, I understand it. So like I'm handling our process. I don't ask the homeowner. Like if I don't get what I want out of the first adjuster and I think a reinspection will change it, I'll order the reinspection, right? So that's the difference between a PA and a roofer. Yeah. I don't need the homeowner to go to bat for me or themselves. That's a little bit of the difference. But how do you explain to homeowners? I mean, I just explained, I set expectations with our clients from the beginning. They're not your friend, but we need them to cooperate. Right? So I can't make them our enemy, because if I make them our enemy, this is going to be a dragged out battle. They have much deeper pockets. They have, but you got to obviously stand up for what you think is right, stand up for your claim, give reasons why an insurance company should pay you, and not hope that they're going to pay you. If you give a field adjuster, just think about it. What is a field adjuster looking to do? He wants to go home. He wants to play with his kids, have a nice life. Right? That's what he wants to do. He doesn't want to have to be writing an estimate for 4 hours, and putting together what if you gave it all to him and he was done? Sounds like a great job to him, right? So think how refreshing it is when he has an estimate, pictures, everything ready to go, and he has all the reasons why, because he has to justify to his superior, hey, I'm writing a check for $25,000, and here's why. It's all done. That's really what it is. Instead of, hey, I need $25,000, and here's the pictures I took, and this is why I think they should be paid. And now you're hoping that the adjuster was a good guy and he's helpful and so on. But the majority of them, even if they are at heart, they have their hands tied. This is what the insurance company lets me write. For example, flood claims. Flood adjusters have to write direct physical damage. So let's just say, for example, this room, they pay for baseboards around, but there's a cabinet built into the wall. Cabinet's only 3 feet long. They'll get a call from the desk adjuster at FEMA that they have to take out the 3 feet of baseboards. They pay that adjuster more money to go open up the file, take out the 3 feet, than the 3 feet of baseboards cost them.
What mistakes do you see that public adjusters make?
They get too busy.
Too busy.
And they can't
spread them too thin?
Yeah. I mean,
do we need more public adjusters?
I think Do we need more public adjusters? Definitely in certain states. I mean, think about it population-wise, you have 800 in Texas. You have 18, I think, right now in Georgia.
18 public adjusters in
I'm
Georgia?
pretty sure it's at 18 or 20, somewhere around there.
So some markets definitely need more public.
Well, but Georgia has set up themselves to be terrified of like companies like Allstate. You know, Georgia just had some horrible laws passed, but I mean, there's no case law because they're terrified of these companies and they don't put up the fight. I mean, there's gonna have to be some trailblazers in the world of adjusting in Georgia to take on and attorneys to take the fight to the insurance company and create case law. Because otherwise they're just gonna keep to dominate you. You know, if you can't get some homeowners to agree to sign up with an attorney for 33% after you sign a 10% contract, so homeowners are gonna take a hit. There's no doubt about it. They're only get 57% of their claim, but they're gonna get zero if they don't fight them.
Wow.
So they got to start.
Why is it 57%?
Well, think about it. Attorneys charging at 33%.
Oh, yeah.
PA's going to charge 10, 20%, somewhere around there. So that's 43%. So they're getting about 57%. But if they don't do anything, they're getting zero. But that being said, if you don't continue to take these cases and fight them, and then fight them more and get them as case law, where insurance companies have to make changes, then you're going to constantly lose. You're just letting the bully win. Basically, that's what's happening. The bully punched them in the mouth, and now they're just, at this point, not going to go back to fight. And you want to stop a bully, you got to punch him in the mouth, right? And that's really the issue. Here in Florida, we have so many cases and so many attorneys in it. Case law is constantly changing, constantly moving the system forward because there's
so many of you.
Right, there's so many public adjusters. So there's a lot of intricacies to claims that then make good case law and bad case law.
Explain virtual public adjusting. How is that changing the game? How you come up with the idea and what's the future?
So we have two other partners, my partner Aaron, and I have two other partners in the virtual PA, Richard Robinson and another guy named Jason Roberts. Jason came to us at a convention last year. After the convention, like a week later, actually, we happened to be back in Texas. He's in Texas. He came, we were at TAPIA, the Texas Association of Public Adjusters. They had a conference. Second day we're there, he called us, said, hey, you're in San Antonio, we're in Houston, let's meet in the middle. He said, I got this great idea about doing this virtually, right? How we can figure that out, how we can scale public adjusters. So we talked to him because he saw that we were a process center. We're built to process claims, we're built to handle claims on a level where you can handle it virtually. We just had to build out some technologies and things like that to bridge the gap a little bit between roofer and PA. And what we're trying to do in a nutshell is revolutionize how the claim process works in the industry.
So is it a software company?
It's not a software company because it's still people processing claims, right? We put softwares and apps into the system to bridge the gap, to get information from roofer to us, to write estimates, to build arguments, so on. But it's, the process is proprietary. We've built it out over 12 years to handle volume. Right after Irma, we handled 3,500 Irma claims. We filed 600 claims with insurance companies in 2 weeks after Hurricane Irma. So we're built to handle volume because of necessity of what we've done in Florida. It's a volume game here, right? I may be only making $2,000 a file, but if I'm making $2,000 a file, I can handle thousands of files. It's great. You just have to build out a process to handle that many files. Most PAs are like we were talking about, large loss guys, so they're individualizing claims over and over and over.
Can you explain why we cannot do home claims the same way we do auto claims? Like, I feel like in auto industry, you have Abras, you have specific shops who just, process auto claims, and I see them like, seems like a different industry, but you have the same players. You have Allstate and State Farm, but Liberty Mutual, but how they pay, you for your car is different how they pay for your house.
Well, let's talk premiums first, right? Let's start there. How much do you pay for your auto insurance?
Couple $100 a month. I don't even know.
Let's just say a year, probably $3,000-$4,000. That's
Yeah.
fair. Cool. How much do you pay for your home insurance?
Same, $3,000 a year.
Which ones are worth more?
Wow, I didn't think of it. So you think it's all in premiums?
I mean, there's the big difference. You're taking something that's usually worth a lot less than the house and paying just as much for them. Now the risks are different, right? They also have. Think about it. When you total a car, what do they do with the rest of it? They take it. What do they take with the rest of it? And they get most of their money back, unless it's completely gone. Get most of their money back. So, and also there's a lot of bad things in auto. You have to show the damage, right? You have to literally pull piece by piece by piece by piece by piece by piece. So that's why it's an auto shop, auto body like market, right? We thought about it as a PA because as a public adjuster, technically I'm allowed to handle auto, but I would have to basically open a shop that doesn't do work because I have to pull. If you want the bumper, pull the bumper. If you want what's underneath the bumper, I got to pull and show it. I got to pull and show it, pull and show it, so on and so forth. So it's a completely different game, completely. And I think premiums are a huge part of that, right? The volume's much more. There's way more cars than houses, right? There's definitely more risks, but there's salvageability. Their premiums are just as much or more.
But also it's just how they pay, because they, in auto industry they pay direct shops, but still, like they would not pay certain contractors. They would not say like, Dimitri, you own a roofing business, you have all our jobs. Well, Abra, they do that.
Right, and they're working on small, tiny margins, and they're just hoping for volume. Right, and maybe they're not using OEM parts; they're using secondary parts and so on and so forth. So they're making money, and
but there's not many denials, and they do put cars together. I mean,
there's less denials because most. I mean, Florida, there are denials because a lot of people don't have coverage.
Okay.
Right, it's a no-fault state, so a lot of insurance companies don't have. A lot of people don't have insurance.
Really?
Yeah.
So you can drive a car here with no insurance? Yeah. I did not know that.
Yeah, watch out.
Really? Even like Lambos and stuff?
No, so those places, like those exotic rental places, are going to force you to get their insurance.
Yeah.
Right? If that's a rental, or if you're driving $1 million.
I know when I rent here, they ask me. Well, I guess rental is different, but as a homeowner, you don't have to have insurance here.
Homeowners insurance?
Not homeowner. If you're resident.
So you buy the car, you have to do it, but you can drop it right after.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's why we have uninsured motorist coverages here. So if you get hit, you can still sue yourself basically for money.
Yeah. So your insurance pays for it.
Yeah, so you sue yourself. Literally, if I got into an accident with somebody, someone hit me, and then I won money for it, it'd be Vince Lefton suing Vince Lefton.
God help us.
Yeah, exactly. Basically, to get money out of a policy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, that's really the difference. There are problems. I mean, think about it. Safe Light, that's insurance company owned.
Yep.
Just save them money. Because there are other glass companies. You don't have to go to Safe Light, and they don't force you to, but they offer it. They come to your house.
They market well.
Correct, because it saves them money. They are Safe Light.
Well,
it's like Xactimate being opened by insurance companies, and then they're complaining about the fees.
Yes. So the thing about it is, like, do you think if premiums will raise, it'll fix the problem? So if insurance company will charge more premiums, I mean, it doesn't seem like it's a solution. If premiums are the biggest factor here,
I don't think premiums are going to solve it. Right? It makes them mitigate it or scares legislators into making changes for them. Right? We can't operate at this. We're only charging X amount. We need to change the laws here. Otherwise, we're going to have to continue to raise premiums. Right? So now you have legislators saying, "Oh man, how am I going to have my people paying more in premiums? Let me get these changes made for them." Yeah, they are being greedy. They are suing too much, and it's a narrative. They're creating a narrative that then helps them make the changes that they want. I mean, think about it this way: insurance companies are legalized Ponzi schemes.
Yep.
Right? In essence, right? They're paying yesterday's claims with you're paying today's claims with yesterday's premiums. That's what it is. And that's why a lot of times you wait. Why am I waiting for my claim? You're greedy. Why am I waiting? Why is it taking 40 days to write a check? You sign a release. Why does it take 40 days to write a check? A lot of insurance companies in Florida have, like, after you sign a release for, hey, we agree on a number, sign the release. We have 21 days to write the check. Why? It's just more time. And it's part of the agreement, so they can do it. And a lot of times they took every one of those 20 or 40 days. But why does it take that long? You know the number, I know the number, write the check. You have it in your bank account. Yeah, but I can hold it longer.
Smart people working there. Good at math. Good at numbers.
Yeah, I mean, you could say that.
It's not right.
It's not right. It's not right on the, I mean, listen, we live in a great country. It's not perfect. It works, and so you just have to work the system. You have to know if you don't know the rules of the game, then you can't work the game. It's the same thing here.
In Russia, we have a proverb: if you're afraid of wolves, don't go in the forest.
But that's definitely true. But I mean that's it's where we live, man. It's what we deal with every day. So if you want to just take with insurance, but think about it: 70% of claims are handled by homeowners or insurance companies. No one's helping them. No roofer, no contractor, no public adjuster, nobody.
70%.
It's it's not an official number. Yeah. I took a whole bunch of information, figured out how much are represented, and tried to figure out it's around 70% are not represented in any way.
I see.
So think about it. That's 70% of people that me and you probably know, people completely being underpaid.
Oh, 100%. Probably just have been taking ACVs checks.
Probably. Yeah. Exactly, because they don't know the difference.
Last 2 questions.
Yeah, no problem.
Give one advice to contractors.
One advice: don't play defense later. Yeah, set up your file right. You can do yourself a lot of help just demanding money early instead of begging for it late. Use us, use someone else, do it yourself. But if you let the insurance company dictate to you, you set yourself up.
The reserve.
You've set yourself up for a losing battle. That's just the facts. That's PA, no PA, homeowner, no homeowner, right?
Demand early on high pay.
I mean, you may not get it early, but at least they know that what you want and what you need to get the job done, and they've set it correctly. If you do it later, sure, you can get it, but it's going to be a lot harder, right?
Give one advice to the homeowner. Last question.
One advice to homeowners. You have options. That's the biggest advice you have. Don't just accept that insurance company who does really great marketing, telling you that, they have the best claim handling. You're in safe hands. Saw it, we paid it, bump, 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 bump. Yeah, wonderful. Those are all just marketing tips. Those are always complete brainwash of you thinking that they're going to handle your claim correctly, right? And so just because you can find a contractor to squeak you by getting the job done, right? Your insurance company is supposed to get you back to pre-loss condition. You've paid them thousands of dollars in premiums over the year, whatever it may be, and they owe you what the contract says, get you back to pre-loss condition. So if you had wood floors today, doesn't mean to get back in your house, okay, I'll just put down laminate. That's what they paid me. No, they owe you for wood floors. They owe you for the kind of quality you have. And don't just take what an insurance company is as the gospel.
Love it. Thank you so much, man.
No problem.
Appreciate your time.
My pleasure.
It was awesome.